welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for a new episode of Anewgo of New Home Sales. I'm your host, Anya Chrisanthon, and joining me today, a couple of guests, Derek and Luke. They are the co-founders of Foundation. So welcome to the show, guys. I'm very excited to have our conversation today.
Yes, likewise. Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
So why don't we get things going by giving our listeners a little bit of an introduction, a little bit of a backstory. I think it's always so interesting to see how people get into home building industry. So Derek, I know you've been in home building industry for a while now. So let's start with you. Tell us your journey. How did you end up where you are?
I have been in it for a while. You're making me feel a little old as I rehash this, but yeah, I started in the industry in 2007 for a very large public builder in Phoenix, and I started my career on internet new home sales. So I was what they called an ISC at the time. I then worked my way into on-site sales and eventually sales and marketing management is how I ended my time at that builder. I made it through unscathed through the great financial recession and was really starting to get interested in this prop tech that was coming on the scene. So eventually I found my way over to a company called Opendoor, which innovated and invented the iBuying space and started the home builder partnerships business there. Was fortunate enough to be able to grow it into a really large business at Opendoor and work with home builders. My team and I would work with home builders across 53 markets in which Opendoor operated. And so stayed connected to the industry and was really in touch with a lot of things that were going on at that time, which was really exciting. It's also how I met Luke. And really, this was the first experience a lot of these builders had with Silicon Valley grade technology. And so it was really interesting to work with them, hear their feedback, hear what they had to say. When my time was done there, was able to step away, reconvene with Luke a little bit and think about our next step and our next venture. And we decided that the time was right for Foundation. And so was able to co-found Foundation with Luke. And that's how I got here today.
Amazing. So we'll talk about Foundation next, but Luke, I'd love to hear your story. How did you get into home building?
Yeah, thanks, Anya. A longer and less direct path to home building for me. I've been interested in building and in real estate forever. So I actually studied city planning and urban economics back in college a long time ago when I still had hair. And a little known story, I don't normally tell this part of it, but I was actually an intern for Lennar pre-GFC, so way back in the day. So came close to getting into home building, but pulled a little bit of a 180. And I've spent my whole career in Silicon Valley. And so that includes both starting and running early stage startups like Foundation and helping scale later stage venture-backed, now public companies, including Opendoor, where Derek and I, for better and for worse, spent a bunch of years working together, both, as you mentioned, working on Silicon Valley grade technology for home sellers, as well as getting to know home building. So I think I was at Opendoor from 200 to 2,000 people at the biggest. That was the big go days. I had a couple hops since then. And then, yeah, Derek captured it. I think last year we got talking again and decided to get Foundation off the ground.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit about Foundation and what problems are you trying to solve?
Yeah, Derek touched on this. The origin story really is an Opendoor origin story. So Derek built and was leading our home builder channel. As he mentioned, Opendoor's first partner channel, first billion-dollar partner channel, first multi-billion-dollar partner channel. I, as often happens at startups, had a bunch of different hats, one of which was leading product for our broader partnerships teams. The thing that happened is as we built trust with home builders, and the common story is, where we say it is, by default, most home builders just don't trust anybody from Silicon Valley. They are profoundly uninterested in an overly smart 28-year-old from Stanford or wherever parachuting in, thinking they know better, trying to tell them how to run their business. And so at Opendoor, we might have had a little bit of that in some pockets. I think on the home building team, we did a pretty good job at actually getting to know our partners and trying to deliver value for them. So as we did that, built some trust, they would lean in, get to know some of our products, and really start to wrap their heads around what modern technology, which we don't think there is much of in home building today, but what modern technology can do for their buyers and what it can do for their business. And so for us, I think whenever you have customers or partners asking you for things, and builders would say this, they say, hey, you have a online closing experience. I don't have that. Can I have that? Hey, Open Door, you have an app. I'm a builder. I don't have an app. Can I have that? For us, when you have partners or customers asking for something, your ears start to prick up a little bit. And so I think that was that first moment where we thought something was interesting. So fast forward, I don't know, Derek, what are we, fast forward 5 years, something like that? And that's what we're building. We describe Foundation as the buyer experience platform for home builders. And I think what that means in home building terms is if you use language that exists in home building today, many home builders want a buyer portal. Some of the big builders already do, but many other folks want it. So you have builders who want a buyer portal. You have builders who want a homeowner portal. Or you have the most ambitious builders who say, you know what, it's finally time. It's 2024. We want our own app. That's what Foundation is. It's a buyer portal, homeowner portal, and fully white labeled customer facing apps for builders in the US.
Very cool. So let's talk a little bit about some of the specific features that Foundation offers and how do these features really benefit both home builder as well as the home buyer?
Yeah, great question, Anya. So a couple products today, and so we'll talk about them. Again, your audience is builders, our primary audience is builders. So we'll talk about this from a builder perspective. One thing to flag is that from a customer perspective, both a buyer and an owner perspective, it is a seamless product, right? So there's an app, you download it at contract, and then you keep that same app, which is your builder's app. It's not a Foundation app, it's the builder's app, from contract through to being a lifetime customer. Now, when we talk to builders, 2 real products today. One is what we call our digital closing concierge. The digital closing concierge holds a buyer's hand from contract, so from a signed purchase agreement, through settlement, so through close. So closing concierge is from contract to close. Once that buyer becomes an owner, once they close on the home, the same product for the buyer is what we call the ownership experience. And that helps that owner own and operate their new construction. When you talk about the why do people want this stuff in the first place, two primary outcomes, which you alluded to. One is you actually end up with happier buyers. And you end up with happier buyers because they know what's happening in the home construction process. And so if you think about the closing process today, we all know how hairy this can get. It is literally hundreds of emails, phone calls, text messages, and updates across whatever channels, not to mention whatever paperwork you're being handed by a builder. So we bring that online. Buyers understand what's happening during the closing process. They understand what's expected of them, and they feel communicated to. And so lots of evidence for this today is one of the weakest places in customer satisfaction scores is post-purchase agreement, right? When the builder's focused on building the home, the salesperson is focused on selling the next home, and it can be easy to forget about your buyers who are under contract. So one, happier buyers, same thing once you own the home. This is a way to keep engaging with the builder brand, keep being communicated with. But then what we also get out of these tools is we get more efficient teams too. So we think that technology, especially modern technology, should not be a bad word, which sometimes it is in home building. Technology isn't just for your buyers. Technology should make your teams more efficient. And we see that across the buyer lifecycle today, from sales and construction through to, especially post-close, it's mostly customer care and warranty teams that get the biggest boosts.
Very cool. So you're all about customer experience. That's the key thing I keep hearing is the customer experience. And definitely in home building where our floor plans can be so similar, our homes can be so similar, the land position even, there's very few things sometimes that can really differentiate you from somebody down the street. And I think customer experience is definitely that one thing that can either make it or break it. So I would love to hear some success stories from the real world of maybe home builders using your products and how has that really transformed their business? If you have any interesting stories to share with us.
Yeah, and Derek, maybe I'll start this one. And we talk about customer experience, and absolutely, but also it is customer experience and efficiency for internal teams. And they really are two sides of the same coin. And what happens basically every time we talk to a new builder, a new potential customers, they say, we have the idea of having a better customer experience, but it's going to create too much work for our teams. And we all know home builders. There are plenty of folks that have been in home building for 30 years, and there's a certain way they like operating. They don't really want to change the way they operate. But that perspective or that concern is the first thing we hear almost every time we get our phone. Now, once we walk folks through it, you see over and over again how when it finally connects for sales teams or for construction teams, you see that their eyes light up and, oh, this is going to make my life easier. And so we'll give you an example. If you take a given sales team, a given sales associate, their company policy at most builders is once a buyer is under contract, that salesperson should be checking in with their buyer. Could be once a week, could be every 2 weeks. Sometimes it's once a month. But I think what you generally see is builders target once a week or once every other week. So that's the policy, right? That's what they're trained to do. That's theoretically what they're managed to do. Now, what happens in practice? And this isn't a surprise to, I think, anybody listening to this, is that most salespeople just don't have any communication or have very limited communication with buyers post-contract. And they do it for natural reasons. One, that salesperson is focused on selling the next home, which is how everybody makes a living. And then two, the process of getting updates to your buyers, it's uncomfortable, it's painful. You have to go take photos on site, go back, sit at your desk, upload them from your phone to your computer, compose an email. And you can spend 30 or 45 minutes triple checking your spelling, trying to make sure you didn't get anything right. And if you ask salespeople about this or ask sales managers, they'll say, yeah, it's a pain in the butt. And so what happens? Well, people just don't do it. And so when we get in there and we show them how Foundation works, and so Foundation has a buyer experience, that's the customer experience you're talking about, but we also have really powerful, intuitive, easy to use tools for home builder teams. And so our builder customers today, many of these teams are actually using Foundation, what we call our operator tools, in their weekly sales or construction meetings. And they can go through lot by lot, home by home, just like they already do. And while they're discussing updates internally, it's literally 2 taps in the product to update their buyers. And long-winded story, but this is the story of everyone's a little nervous at first. This is going to be hard. It's going to be hard to use. That impression is because there's so much outdated software in home building. But once they sit down there and get in and realize how much better this makes their lives and how much easier it makes it to do their existing jobs, that's what when we say there's 2 sides of the coin. Right? Make it easy for sales and construction teams to update their buyers so that you can have happier buyers.
And Anya, I think
Yes.
I think putting on my sales hat, thinking, which was a while ago now, but putting it on, I think when you ask about success stories, sitting in that sales seat, one of my favorite moments happened a couple of weeks ago, and I consider this one of the best successes you can have. We are in a sales meeting, walking them through the Foundation platform and product that they were going to use. And when we showed them that they could be in the field on their phone, take a photo, 2 taps, and that automatically sends an update email, a push notification, and uploads a photo to their Foundation feed for that buyer. And what most of these folks think takes 15 to 20 minutes minimum, when we show them that, we got audible oohs and ahs from a sales team. And if you've ever been in one of these sales meetings, these teams get presented to every week, new technology, new process, new vendors. And hearing that, I think really resonates with me as one of my favorite success stories when we were able to get some audible positive feedback from the teams as we were presenting and demoing it live. So that was an exciting moment a couple of weeks ago.
It is, there's talking the talk and then they're seeing it in action. And so, for example, the first salesperson using Foundation daily was not a 28-year-old super techie on TikTok salesperson. The saleswoman is a, let's say, mid-50s salesperson in the Central Valley in California who's about as untech savvy as you could get. So we didn't actually start out with the youngest, hippest, easiest to work with salespeople. This was someone who was old school, who had her way of doing things. And again, some anxiety maybe going in the first time, but now she's in there almost every day, posting photos, changing milestones, adding notes, and it's transformed her cycle.
That's amazing because I know personally, Derek, like you, I used to be in new home sales. and you have a million things going on in a day. And I remember coming back into the office on Mondays, and Tuesday, Wednesdays would be my day off. So Monday's like your Friday, but you're coming off from a super busy weekend, and you have to follow up with all the people from the weekend because that's your number one priority, is to generate more sales. But yet you still have to follow up with the homeowners who are in the backlog and give them the updates. And guess what gets pushed to the very back? Right? Like if you get there and then, oh, I'll get it done later in the week. And then you come back from your days off and it's a Thursday and it's time to get ready for the open house on the weekend. So it starts all over again. So I can see how this product would really change the way the home buyer perceives a builder. I remember there was a survey, like a feedback somebody received. I'm not going to name a builder, but basically the buyer was really unhappy with the builder, and the builder said, why were you so unhappy? We gave you feedback every week. And the customer said, yes, because I called every week to ask for feedback. It was not proactive feedback. And that's, I think, is a big key, is to be proactive, is to offer that feedback. And whether or not you have that buyer who wants to be walking the home under construction when they're not supposed to every day, or you have one of those like out of town buyers who's like happy with the check-in once a month, I can imagine that this platform really solves that for everybody, because they can be checking in as frequently or not as frequently, and it seems like it's pretty easy to use from the user perspective. If a 50-year-old, not to throw shade on 50-year-old women, because there's definitely some savvier than others, but I do think it's the best technology. Like my daughter can figure out an iPad, which I don't give her, but she's 4 years old and she can probably do more things, figure out more things on that thing than I can. So it's all about that intuitive approach to technology that we all love so much. So it makes sense.
Absolutely. And your daughter probably finds that iPad, doesn't she, Anya? Even though you don't give it to her, she goes and finds it when they're that age, which is funny nowadays. But I think you hit on something that's, I think, super important that I want to say, which is because you get it coming from your sales background as well, which is customer experience is our output. And that's very important to us. But we are just as concerned with builder experience, because if you do not have a good builder experience, we're not going to be able to provide a great customer experience. And home building, I think what's unique a little bit about Foundation is home building is deeply rooted in our DNA. Even Luke, who says he comes from Silicon Valley, has it from his time at Lennar. We have it throughout our organization. It's deeply rooted. And I think to your point, we got to design experiences and platforms and tools that are what people expect to use in 2024. And customers expect it, but also builders and their teams expect it. They want something that's as easy to use as Airbnb or Instagram or or their text message, what have you. And so I think that DNA in us is something that helps sets us apart a little bit, because I think we clearly know who our audience is and who and what we're designing for.
We do take pride in, again, not just the customer experience, but in the home builder experience. And so these are desktop products. There's a native mobile app. This is a field app for builder sales and construction teams and customer care teams, whoever else is using it. Now, there are other options for builders in addition to those tools. So above and beyond, we have a deep back office concierge grade support. So our teams are actually doing lots of work for builders too, to take work off of their plate. And then there are a bunch of options for automation. And automation is something we're excited about. It's something many builders are excited about. And especially when we're talking to corporate builder teams, automation is one of the first things that comes up. And so if we talk about, hey, construction milestones, can we automate changing those? When we talk about closing milestones, can we automate those? And the answer is yes, we can automate them. And again, it's something we're excited about. Interestingly enough, the deeper folks get into the product, in some ways, in some cases, the less interested in automation they are. And I'll tell you what I mean here is that, especially, again, you have a corporate marketing team, like, I don't want our teams to have to do more work and learn another software tool. Totally natural reaction, especially given the state of software in home building today. Now, what they find as they get in is, again, this software is actually so easy to use and so informative for teams that instead of just automating an update, sometimes you actually want that salesperson to add a personal message. And when they realize that this can be a single consolidated communication platform, you can send your buyers updates, you can change construction milestones. There's a built-in document center, there's built-in messaging, there's built-in utilities set up for it. So it's got basically everything that a modern buyer is going to expect. And so the more familiar teams get with the product, the less interested they are in automation. Again, automation's good. We're excited. We think that's the future. But intuitive tools that let builder teams add a personal touch to communication and still do it really efficiently is something folks have gotten excited about.
That is the key. That's perfect. In our industry, especially, it's the more we go towards embracing technology, which obviously I'm so happy for and I love, and I think technology can do so much good for both the buyer and the builder, but it is a concern for so many, that loss of personal touch. And buying a home is something so deeply personal. I can't even think of another purchase that you're going to make in your life other than building a home of your dreams from scratch, where you get to pick the finishes, the colors, everything that truly represents who you are, and then to go to something that's completely automated. So I'm glad that you guys are incorporating both automation that I can imagine keeps a lot of home builders on track, and maybe somebody who's less proactive to then ability to really inject that personal touch and make it feel like they are the only customer and they are the only one getting that update, and it's unique to them, even though it's happening on this large platform. So Derek, you mentioned staying on top of kind of a home buyer expectations as well as home builder expectations. So can you touch a little bit more on that in 2024? And I guess as we're actually about to transition into 2025, which sounds just crazy to me, where do you think this industry is going from both buyer and builder expectations? And how are you making sure that you are injecting that into your platform?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think when I think about the trends and the future expectations of home buyers, it's, I think, really an acceleration of what has already started over the past decade. And so I think we just continue to see that to accelerate. And I think the first one, I really think about this kind of in three steps, really. I think the first is that buyers expect to be communicated with and own and operate their homes in the same way they do everything else in their lives, which is a digital, mobile-first manner that allows them to self-serve what they need when they want it 24/7. And I think one of the fun, like, inspiration stories that we sometimes tell, or folks may have heard, is there was a point in time where I called up Luke and I said, Luke, why do I have more information and transparency in my Domino's pizza order app than I do on someone's most important purchase of their life? I said, that's not right. And luckily, Luke is as passionate about solving this problem as I am. And so I think when we think about what buyers expect, think about it. They expect to be able to order their pizza, see who their delivery driver is, give a high five to the chef, customize their options and toppings, and watch it delivered all the way to their door. Yet we did not, until Foundation, have anything like that in home building. And so I think you're just seeing that acceleration of that type of customer expectation. I think the second is a lot of buyers have multiple family members involved in the purchase process. And as you've already alluded to, some or all of them may be coming from a different city or a different state. And those customers, just like your local ones who are stopping in every week saying hi to you, they expect a great experience with great communication, which is especially important to those out-of-state buyers or multifamily buyers with a purchase of this magnitude. And when you think about it, oh, that's a hard problem to solve. I think they can already coordinate similar experiences with products like Airbnb, VRBO. So they expect their builder to be on par or better with those types of companies. And I think that's really what Foundation's bringing in. And then I think when you talk about expectations, I really do need to come back to the builder teams, because as concerned as we are with customer experience, we're also just as concerned with builder experience. And like I said, they expect their tools to be on par with all of the other digital tools they have in their life. And when those expectations aren't met, they find their own path of least resistance. And it's why, and I don't know if what your thoughts are on this, or Anya, or not, but it's why most of builder communications happen through text messages on personal phones and not in CRMs like builders want, because people expect an easy experience and they find the path of least resistance. And I think at Foundation, we understand both buyer and builder expectations. We're a Silicon Valley grade consumer product company, and we're purpose built for all of those examples I just gave and more. We're obsessed with home builders, we're obsessed with their customers, and really bringing the modern solutions that customers and builders expect in 2024.
Derek gets me going. He gets me fired up when he starts talking about this stuff. And there's a couple of things. One is we have been and are laser focused on delivering not just consumer experiences, but on delivering business value. And for example, we have a very detailed ROI calculation process that we walk prospective customers through to break down where that business value comes from. And yes, some comes from buyer satisfaction, CSAT NPS scores. Some comes from sales productivity scores. Some comes from generating additional referral, generating revenue. So happy to walk folks through this, and we do it. Now I'll say, and Derek, correct me where I'm wrong, but I would say ballpark, half of our customers have really engaged with that ROI process. It's important to be buttoned up. We love talking about it. Also, the other half of our customers just understand that this business is finally changing, that your buyers are coming online, your homeowners are coming online, and they expect an always-on online digital experience. We are not going back to writing letters by hand and pencil. That's just not the way technology, not the way the world's going. And again, these customers who just understand, they're like, hey, home building is finally coming online, right? This is as a CMO, as a VP of marketing, as a business owner, as a COO, this is what is expected of me, is to figure out how to bring this process online. And so once you're there, again, let's talk about business impact, let's do that. But where many people come is, this business is coming online, I need an answer. And so what are my options? My options are, I'm going to go build this myself. And we can talk about home builders building software.
Yeah, we've seen that on our side when builders try to do their own visualizations, usually not that great.
Or I'm going to find an answer. And I think when you start looking for an answer and you're looking for an actual consumer grade, Silicon Valley grade platform, Foundation, I think becomes the clear choice. Now I'll say, if you look at the top 30 builders, somewhere between 30 and say 40 or 45% of them actually have either their own buyer portal or their own homeowner portal today. And in almost every case, they built it themselves. And the reason they did that is, again, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, if you wanted a buyer product, if you wanted a digital owner product, you had to build it yourself. You just didn't have another option. Now, we'll say that most of our customers today are using Foundation as their first buyer experience product. But increasingly, we're talking with builders who spent years and millions of dollars building their own version. And then the thing with software is you don't just build it. Software is never done, right? You build it, you maintain it, you upgrade it. Your customers expect upgrade. They expect changes. Software is a living, breathing thing. And so you might have built it yourself the first time, and then it went over budget and it went over scope, because that's what happens with software. That's what that stuff does. So you're already in hot water in the first place, and then you have to live with it forever. And so increasingly builders are realizing that they don't want to do that. They want to be in the business of building and selling homes, and they want trusted partners to deliver great products for their customers and for their teams.
I could not agree more with you. And it is crazy to me when I see home builders literally trying to do some crazy technology on their own. And it's like, knowing how much money Anewgo spends on our technology, like we're talking millions of dollars, right, to build this technology. And when they're trying to do that on top of running a home building industry, like, I'm just like, it's mind-boggling to me. So yeah, I am 100% on board with you guys that leave it to the pros, let us do what we do best, and you guys do what you do best, which is build homes and deliver the American dreams. Derek, you touched a little bit on the fact that a lot of salespeople prefer to work like outside and on maybe texting, etc. So I'm curious, can you talk a little bit about integrations with Foundation? Do you guys play nice with CRMs, ERP? So talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's been very important for us right now to be able to integrate across platforms. And that's why the word buyer experience platform is on our website. It's very prevalent. It's very important because we understand that there's multifacets on this kind of digital journey that builders go through, and we're playing in a specific space. So we integrate with ERPs, CRMs, any other type bots, back-end warranty systems and solutions. All of that we play nicely with and integrate because we have to. And I think the old school way of thinking is, hey, we're going to silo off this product. We're not going to give anyone else access to. And I'm getting into a little bit of Luke's world here, but that is not our approach or the modern approach to building software, right? We need to be open and willing to work with others because that's how today's digital software products work. And I think when you talked about like CRMs, the other piece I'll add is we also know that we need to mimic the behavior of what these folks are going through as well. Like when you talk about texting, CRMs, we need to make it just as easy for them in one or two taps to do what they're already doing today, and then feed that through the system and integrations so the proper folks, management, executives, team leads, other departments can see those same type of updates and information. And so I think really through our integrations, through what we built, we're actually democratizing the information, the transparency, and the communication that takes place in these builders. And that's been some of the really exciting early feedback we've gotten from our early customers is for the first time, someone in their warranty department is going to be able to see the initial communication that a salesperson had once a buyer went under contract, along with that whole journey, get full context and transparency from the first text message, first message or update that was sent all the way to the last email that was sent to them. So I think that's one thing we're really excited about is making this platform available in a holistic manner for the entire journey.
We take pride in our work and pride in our craft, and we take pride in delivering consumer grade products to market. Ironically, some of our technical DNA is not consumer first. So our CTO, for example, was one of the two people that ran almost all of the data infrastructure for Opendoor. And Opendoor at its peak, Derek, was 55 markets and 70,000 annual transactions and ingesting close to 100 different MLSs. So like that, ironically, like data and integration first is a huge part of our technical API. Think API first in a lot of ways. I'll say, I just think we come from a different product and technical generation than much of the last generation of home building software vendors. And so I think we're actually more ready and more excited for those integrations than some existing players. And part of it's a mindset thing. So for Foundation, we talk about builders say, hey, my data's in Foundation. What happens when I want to get it out? Yeah, you said it. It's your data. It's not our data. It's like it's your data. These are your customers. We'll put it wherever you want to put it, and we'll take it from wherever it is today. And I think that mindset of it is not our data. It's not the vendor's data. It's the builder's data, is still making its way through the ecosystem. And so we're excited to see changes there and excited to see a mindset shift. Now, when we talk about integrations, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. You can have actual API integrations. We do soup to nuts. We do the full spectrum of integrations. So one end, native API integrations with, say, custom ERP software. And so like many of the biggest, say, top 30 builders are running custom CRMs, or it's Salesforce, but like some customized version of Salesforce. Many may have a custom ERP system. And so we're happy for those one-offs. The far end, regional builders, the integration is them sending us PDFs with a bunch of home products and SKUs that our systems and teams have to extract from PDFs, run a bunch of ETL on, standardize, use AI to enrich, and then get into these consumer products. So wherever that data is, whether it's siloed, stuck in PDFs in some old system, or if it's online, ready to be sent via API, we are happy to do it all.
I'm so glad to hear you say how you treat data and that it's the customer's data and make it easily accessible. And I think the fact that it's brand new software, you guys are definitely thinking about those integrations first. Unlike, it's almost, we have such old, especially ERP systems out there that are just like not even technologically able to connect to some of those things. It would be probably cheaper to rebuild that than to try to upgrade some of these kind of like older archaic systems. So I'm glad you're really building with that mindset that you do need that flow of information, especially as we're getting into AI, that's going to be crucial so that it's not barricaded, it's not isolated, it is free flowing. So we talked a lot about how foundation helps home buyers and builders post close with that communication piece, but I'd love to touch a little bit more on the post sale engagement and how foundation really help builders generating repeat business and referrals.
Yeah, totally. So if you think of, so again, you start with the closing concierge, right? A contract, great integrated communication platform. The buyer closes on the home, then becomes the owner, and then what happens? I think the first part of that experience is as you as a now home owner, instead of whenever you need something about your home, instead of having to dig through those hundreds of emails and text messages, you just pull up your builder app or your builder's website, and everything you need is right there. And so parts of it are pretty practical at first. And when I say practical, it's, hey, you have a 4-year-old. I have a 4-year-old and actually a 6-week-old Anya. So we're in the mix right now.
Oh, congrats.
When that 4-year-old draws on your new paint with permanent marker, right? And you look up that paint, what do you do? Well, today, most folks, like, you may have gotten a packet, you may have gotten a thumb drive, you probably lost or threw away both of them. Right? You're like, that's like a pretty tough way to go figure out what that paint color and sheen was. Instead, it's in your builder app. So you can go look up your paint colors, your appliances, your flooring materials, whatever you need. Everything you need to know about your home is in one place. Now, say you actually have an issue with your home and it's a warrantable issue, and so you're going to file a service request. You can file those service requests right from your builder app, et cetera. As Derek mentioned, that service request then will integrate directly with existing warranty systems. And so your builder teams, your customer care teams aren't changing their operations, but for the buyer, now the owner, it's a seamless digital experience. And so again, early on, it's like, hey, what's happening with my home? I need to talk to my builder. Pretty practical use cases. Now, what we also do, and I think we're very excited about, is much of my background is actually in consumer product. And so we think a lot about activating, engaging, re-engaging, and retaining users. And so our digital products do a lot of that. It is automated programmatic re-engagement in order to turn a transaction into a lifetime relationship. And so when we talk about those re-engagement hooks, it could be, hey, here's what's new with your home. It could be, hey, here's your home maintenance calendar. These are the things you're responsible for making sure that your home is maintained. Hey, here are market trends. Hey, here's how your home value and your home equity are growing over time. And so we take the best, most proven re-engagement patterns from across the internet, across all of the mobile apps on the planet, put them to work for our builders so that these owners stay engaged. And why do we care about that? Because when you have engaged owners over time, those are your opportunities to generate referrals, generate repeat purchases, and then generate ongoing revenue. And that's part of our offering, is we actually run a managed marketplace for our builders to generate revenue. And it turns into us writing a check back to our builders instead of vice versa.
That's amazing, because I think that is such a missed opportunity for so many years. Once you close on the house, there was not even any sort of nurturing going on with builders. It was just like, okay, these people are done. They're like dead to us because we are moving on to the next thing. But it's like, we know people buy new home on average. I think it was like every 7 years or something, maybe, as especially with the pandemic. I think it's accelerated that maybe in a way. So, and obviously with a lot of digital tools out there, like Open Door, even buying, selling homes is becoming easier. So it is definitely a thing to consider, because if they bought a home from you first time, and especially with foundation, they probably had great experience. So they're going to be more likely to be a repeat buyer. And as we know, just the cost of acquisition of a customer, that trust, everything, it's just such an easier sale the second time around. So I'm a huge fan of that. And I'm so glad that's something you guys are working on.
Thank you. And you get it, Anya. You nailed it. You maybe said it better than we did. And I think a quick little anecdote and story about where foundation steps in is I was sitting with a builder the other day, and we were just talking about the industry, and I said, yeah, hey, leads have been slow, right? Traffic's been slow. How would you guys be able to help? And I had heard in a previous conversation that they had a community right down the road from where they were building that was 10 years old, had closed out 10 years ago. And my example is I said, hey, what we'll actually do at Foundation is we will not only put your new contracts going forward on the app and the platform, but we'll actually onboard the last 5 to 7 years or more of your customers onto the app and platform. And so I said, what we could do is actually get your past buyers on there. You can then programmatically re-engage those customers who live right down the road, and then get them to come walk through the door by either advertising an event or linking them out to maybe some relevant floor plans based on what they bought before, which we have the data on, and then knowing what maybe they're ready to move into. Being able to re-engage those folks programmatically when I hear things like traffic is slow and yet we have old communities a couple miles away is, I think, really what excites the salesperson in me, to be able to re-engage and drive those folks back to the brand and keep them in that builder's brand of home and turn them truly into a lifetime customer.
The realtors do such a great job, but the builders have dropped the ball historically. So that's great that you guys have that feature.
Yeah, I think to that point, we're not the first ones to think about this stuff or to talk about this stuff. Builders have for decades been saying there's a missed opportunity here, which is, to your point, we spent all of this money to acquire these customers. We sell a home and then we never talk to them again. And many builders don't want to talk to their customers post-close because they think any post-close contact is just a warranty issue. All right. So they're thinking of past sales as a liability instead of as an asset. Now, so again, we didn't invent many of these ideas. Builders have been talking about this stuff, saying, hey, how should we do home services? And I think you see this every couple of years as a builder will try and say, hey, we're going to start a pest control company. We're going to start referring people out to X, Y, and Z. In the defense of builders, it's hard. It is a ton of work. And basically every home builder in the US, think of home builders organizationally, is you are designed to buy land, build homes, sell homes, and then move on with your lives. And so trying to start a new services business, a new re-engagement business in these existing companies, it's just a hard thing to do. You're pushing the boulder uphill. And so again, many of these ideas, we're not the first ones to talk about them. We do believe we are very well suited to deliver for builders and deliver on the things that people have been dreaming about and talking about for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm. So what's for in the future for Foundation? I'm curious if there's any features or anything you guys are working on right now that you can tease, or is it all top secret for now?
Yeah, I'll turn it over to Luke to maybe get into any more product details that he wants to share. What I think is unique about us, Anya, is a lot of builders in the industry have been dropped off software, sold software, and said, hey, this is the product, good luck, thanks for your business. And the product is done. And I think what excites us and excites me about Foundation is we are always gathering feedback. We are always improving the product like you would expect from modern software. It's never finished. There's always going to be new things on the horizon, and we got tons of them. And I make sure to tell Luke all of them in our weekly meetings. But you can think about something like Instagram. Does Instagram today look like the same Instagram 5 years ago, 10 years ago? It does not. So people are used to their software evolving as their needs change. And we have that same mentality at Foundation. We are literally shipping code every single day. Our product will never be done. Our product will be continuously improving and updating, no different than your iOS app update, your Instagram app update as we move forward. And I think that excites me most. Luke, is there anything else you want to add from more of a specific product and design perspective?
No, there is so much work to do, Anya, and we obsess about this stuff. And I think you have to love the product, you have to love the craft, and then you have to love the business you're in and your customers. And so we've proven that we love building consumer grade, Silicon Valley grade software. We also genuinely love home building and love home builders. Yeah, hundreds of upcoming features. Literally, they come from a bunch of different places. They come from talking to buyers and talking to owners. They come from being buyers and being owners ourselves. They come from, like I said, being in the product obsessively every day, playing with it, understanding how we can make things better. And then very often, the best ideas come from our customers, which are builders. And so there's this funny pattern that happens where, and we tease, I don't know if you've met Kyle Erdman's our VP of sales. Kyle helped the new construction program at Zillow. We tease him because he was at Zillow for a long time. But when Kyle started, he said, this is awesome. We're going so fast. This is cool. What we should do is every 6 months or so, we should check in with our customers and see if they have any feature requests. And we laughed. Said, Kyle, that's a Zillow thing. You're talking about every 6 months. We should talk to our customers every day and see what's happening in the product, what's working, what's not working. How can we make this better for them? And so a pretty common pattern with new customers, they say, hey, this is great. We love this. We've looked at everything. This is the best product in the market. And they'll sometimes ask almost a little sheepishly or cautiously, but could you do this one thing? You're like, folks, the feedback, we live for this stuff. We don't want to do one thing. We want the list. What are the 5 things? What are the 10 things? And so we love this. Again, the better we make this product for our builders, we're not doing this just for builders. Again, the better foundation is for builders, the longer they're going to be customers. And so we're going to be in this business a long time. We're going to be in home building a long time. And we're excited to help shake things up.
I love that. Tell me, who is this for? Obviously, I can see that most home builders would benefit from this product, or maybe is it easier to say who it's not for? Who's your ideal customer, maybe who wouldn't be great for this?
Yeah, so we say and mean it that foundation is really designed for builders who are selling 75 to 75,000 homes a year. And so what that means is you're a builder operating at scale. If you're a builder who's building 1 or 5 or 10 custom homes a year, I don't think you need what foundation has to offer. And so that's not where we're focused. Of those builders that are actually moving volume, whether you're a large local builder, a regional builder, or a national builder, again, the evidence suggests, and we believe that home building is coming online. And so you're going to need an answer. We do think that foundation is probably a better answer than trying to build it yourselves. If you are building your own software, and we say this all the time, we do it, we're also happy to chat. Let's show you our product and show you our designs and give you feedback. You may build it yourself this time, probably next time. So in 24, 36 months, you're going to come back because you got burned doing it the first time. Now, when you say who it's for, I think there's a question of who comes to foundation first. So a couple key personas for us. It's very often a marketer or whoever's in charge of customer experience. So it could be a CMO, for example, or a VP of corporate marketing. Very often you find the owner or the CEO or the COO of a business is the one who also realizes, hey, big builders are coming online. I'm selling against big builders in my market. They have a digital experience. I better have a digital experience. What's my answer going to be? Right. And so the first time you realize that, yeah, Lennar's in your market and they have a digital experience, we'll reserve judgment on their digital experience, but they have something. There's some offering there. You need an answer. What's your answer going to be? And the fastest way to get to market with a truly great product is foundation.
Love that. So is there anything that I did not ask you that we did not cover during today's podcast as we wrap things up? Let me know if there's any last thoughts, guys.
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know, Anya. What features would you love to see from a buyer experience when you were a salesperson? What was on your wish list as you were sitting in the sales office?
I don't think that you guys could solve that. I think every salesperson's worst nightmare is prospecting. So if there could be some kind of a automated thing that told you this is the person you need to call because they're gonna be which With AI, I think it certainly is possible. I know there are some CRMs that will analyze your database and tell you like this person is likely to move. So maybe that's coming, because instead of trying to call 100 people, you just concentrate on that 1 or 2 people that are like a sure deal. And I don't know if you guys can work something on that.
I'll say, I won't answer directly, but I will say that's often what we call, the Silicon Valley way for describing this is a propensity model. We say propensity, it's propensity to sell or propensity to move. I will say that propensity models are something we're pretty familiar with and pretty interested with. There's lots of data out there that we can help home builders tap into about, again, who is getting closer to selling, who is getting closer to moving, what they may be looking for. Again, end to end, when we talk about platform, we really believe it. And so again, many builders, if you go and look, and there's some great marketers in home building who have very detailed models of the customer experience. And we learn from them. We love collecting this. We love putting our heads together with home builder teams. Now, I'll say in all of those cases that we've seen so far, that customer journey, that customer lifecycle is linear, right? You start out as a lead, you get qualified, you get into a home, you go into a contract, you close, you become an owner, you follow a warranty, and then that's it. Our deeply held belief is that we can turn this into a flywheel. So that, again, you start out as a buyer, you're under contract, you become an owner, and then you become a referrer, and then you become a revenue generator, and then you become a repeat purchaser. So how do we take that ownership network and turn it into new business for builders?
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe you'll have a new awesome prospecting tool courtesy of Anya. So tell us, guys, where can people find you if they're interested to learn more about Foundation? Where do they go? Call, write, email, website, and then also if they wanted to personally connect with you, is there a place where you hang out on social media?
Yeah, they can go to our website, which is buildwithfoundation.com. They can email Luke and myself directly at founders@buildwithfoundation.com. And then they can look us up on LinkedIn and check out our LinkedIn page, which I believe is linkedin.com/foundation-tech. And love to engage, interact there. You can also find my phone number on there or on our website. So anyone that has anything, please reach out. We love to engage. We love to hear your comments, thoughts, questions, and how we can help you. And if it's something that you don't think we can help you with, we still love to hear about it anyways, because we got some pretty cool solutions and partners and folks like Anewgo that we know. We're going to point you. And then I think we have a lot of great solutions too that we're thinking about. And really appreciate the time today on. This has been great and fantastic in the engagement. Really big fans of what you guys do over here and appreciate you having us on the pod.
Thank you. Likewise, you guys, I will link all the contact information and show notes to make it easy for you to connect with both Derek and Luke. And thank you so much, guys, for such an engaging conversation. I love to learn the latest and greatest in home builder technology. So it always helps me stay in the loop and understand what's out there. And I think our builder partners certainly appreciate learning through these podcasts about what's available. So you guys definitely connect with the Foundation team and see how you can improve your customer experience and make your team work more efficiently. So thank you guys for being on the podcast today, and hopefully I'll see you at one of the industry events soon. Bye.
Thanks so much, Anya.
Thank you.